My name is Jon Karel. I play for the number 12 Looks Like You, and I'm a big FIRTH artist and very happy to speak with you today. I was born in 1983 in Rockland County, New York, to my father, Jon Karel, who was a drummer in a wedding band for 27 years. I remember being very young and inspired by the physical presence and excitement and loudness of drums as early as I could possibly remember. As I studied through elementary school, more pursuing it obviously as a hobby, I had the instruction of a wonderful teacher named Ed Zacco, who taught me the basics, how to read, rudiments, and then throughout middle school continued to play in jazz band, and then I started to realize that there was this wonderful thing called heavy metal, and I went out and started as many bands as I possibly could, and got very into the idea of composing original music. When I was getting into high school, I was fortunate enough to have some older friends that dropped off some records for me, and it just blew my freaking mind. I mean, I'd never heard anything like that before. While being a timekeeper, the drumming was the star of the show, and that was so exciting to me at that age, and really the sentimentality of that has stayed with me ever since. After several bands kind of not really going where I'd like them to go, I decided that to further my career, I should enhance my education. I applied to Berklee School of Music in Boston, was accepted, but unfortunately couldn't pay for that education. So I got real motivated and decided that I was going to get my own education in the real world, and started really practicing every day, really working, focused, still playing in my bands. I took a job in automotive and was working super hard, waking up extra early before work, going to bed extra late, trying to squeeze into practice time, and really hoping that eventually my ability would sync up with the opportunities that were available in the world as a drummer. Finally, in July 2005, I got this wonderful call from my friend's band, the number 12 Looks Like You, saying that for whatever reason, it wasn't working out so hot with their drummer, and they really wanted me for the gig, and from that point on, my life has changed ever since. When it comes to a drumstick, what I've really realized, and I've learned the hard way, is that what you learn when you're a touring musician, there's very few things you have real control over. I did a tour with the band filling in for drums called Horse the Band, and over the course of that tour, in 100 days we played 90 shows in 45 different countries. In those 90 shows, I probably played about 45 different drum sets. There were times when I didn't have a stool, I was sitting on a cinder block. There was times when I had just like 3 hi-hat stands, a floor tom, and a snare drum. Places like Thailand, China, Korea, Russia, and drum heads that were just made out of packing tape. The relative inconsistency of the instrument was so impossibly frustrating and difficult, but my pitch-paired, perfect, fresh, ready-to-go bundle of Big FIRTH drumsticks was so consistent and so in control and so familiar to me and familiar to my hands that not only did I develop this wonderful skill to adapt my playing to suit whatever drum set environment I was in, but I really realized that at the bare bones of what I really need to express myself musically on a drum set, I need a good pair of drumsticks. That's it. That's all I really need. And Big FIRTH's unbelievably unmatched consistency was my #1 ally in my whole experience. Advice for younger drummers. The physical aspects of technique and endurance, power, speed, coordination, the conceptual aspects of odd times and polyrhythmic structures and really advanced composition and advanced groove building. These have really taken an extreme front seat in drumming today. While we are conceptual and very physical human beings, we are also philosophical and spiritual people. And our drumming should also be coming from a place, I believe, that encompasses that third aspect of ourselves. And without the feel, and without the vibe, and without the real answers of the questions of why do I play what I play? Not just how do I play what I play, but why am I playing what I play? People talk about feel all the time. They talk about, let's say you're learning Latin music and you're learning the Cuban rhythm rumba clave, right? Bat, 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 got, got, and you're putting against this samba feel, and you got this cascada polyrhythm with your right hand, and you're doing all these wonderful things. And when we're taught how to do this, or what the rumba clave is, we learn the notes, and we learn the stickings and the conceptual side of it, and we play it. We go do ga go go ga go go ga go go ga go ga go go, and then somebody comes out and goes, oh no, you can't do that. It's got to be rougher. It's got to be edgier. It's got to have some flavor, And then so you say boom blah blah boom blah 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 blah, and then they're like, no, that's too rough. Maybe if they'd explained to you the why and said, listen, there are these beautiful women that are dancing to this music. And there are many, many guys creating these rhythms together in a whole rhythmic section. And clave, the word, really isn't describing a rhythm. It's describing this combination of rhythms when people come together and they create this music, and people relating to each other and human beings being together. And if you can visualize this beautiful woman captivating all the people in this room and harping on you're just doing your job and keeping this rhythm with all these other guys, and if you can really visualize the spirit of this, then something tells me you won't have nearly as much of a problem nailing that feel. The question of why is then answered, and the feel of your music, as people like to call it, starts to come out. So as this feel relates to heavy metal is not about anger and hate and heavy metal is an exploration of the darker side of human nature. Real feelings of shame and regret and self-loathing, or flawed existential feelings about the world we live in, requires a degree of self-examination that comes from a very sincere and sometimes very vulnerable place in our consciousness. And I would ask all of my colleagues and comrades who are involved in this, I want to hear it. I want to know what's really on your mind. Really let me know what's really going on in your heart, and really take that time to explore this deeper side of yourself and show it in those guitar riffs, and show it in your drum parts, that extreme feelings that you experience, and let that come out in your music. And I think that's what attracted me to the genre in the first place, and that's what I'm really hoping to hear as the future goes on. I am so excited to announce that we are releasing our 4th full-length album entitled Worse Than Alone. It is by far my most proudest drumming effort I've ever accomplished, and there's some really, really sophisticated drumming concepts on this record, backed by a lot of heart and soul, and we really put our full selves into this in the most sincere way. And musical sincerity is my #1 goal, and I feel honored and privileged to be a part of a project that so eloquently displays that. Plans to go back to Europe and overseas this summer, which I've missed very much, and I'm a very, very inspired by international drumming and world culture, and that's a real source of creative inspiration for me. I'm looking forward to get back to that. I'm very pleased to be continuing forward with my FIRTH relationship, and looking forward to all the lessons I'm going to teach on these upcoming tours, and looking forward to all the students I'm going to meet with, and just loving life, loving drums, and can't wait to meet all of you out there. Thanks so much for all your support. Peace, love, and drums.